Thank you all for joining us and welcome to the August 2020 Phoenix and Boulder Tableau User Group virtual meeting. A little bit of housekeeping before we do anything. All participants are muted. Please do use the Q&A section to send questions regarding any of the presentations, anything you have. Comments or feedbacks, please go ahead and use the chat. We see that there's some engagement going on right now. We love that. This session will be recorded. It will be made available on the Tableau YouTube channel. We will also follow up via email. If you registered, you'll get some information where you can watch that link, download the deck, and any material that you see here today will be accessible for you. All right, so today's agenda, we're going to go through, do some quick introductions and announcements. 5 after, hopefully we'll do some Tableau trivia engagement. So if you got a smartphone ready, get that out. We're going to go through after that. We'll have a great session on making sense of Tableau's relationships, joins and blends from Adriana. We'll take a quick 5-minute break after that, and then we'll come back. We'll do some more presentations on killer UI UX dashboard designs, tips and tricks. And we'll also have a session for Tableau Live. So this is more like a Tableau doctor session. If you do have anything that you've got stumped, you're challenged, go ahead and post it into the Q&A. And this way, part of our panelist team will be able to review that and connect with you and make sure that we have some of those things teed up for the end. All right. So this is us. If you are new to the Phoenix or Boulder Tableau user group, this is our leadership team. I am Michael Perillo. I've been using Tableau almost a decade now. And we have a great leadership team, as you can see on the side here. If you're familiar with any of us, we've got Ann Jackson, Josh Jackson, Justin Hinkfoot, Jeff Park, and Suraj Shah. Ann Jackson is a Tableau ambassador and Tableau Zen master. Myself, I've been a Tableau ambassador for quite a while now here in Phoenix, Arizona. I am really excited to be able to introduce Heather Datillo and Chris Cox out of Boulder Tug. Can't tell you how excited I am to be able to team up and partner with them today. And you will hear from Heather and Chris momentarily. All right, so a little bit of announcements. Let's dive into that. Tableau Mentorship Program is a new program that's been launched through the Tableau community. If you're new to Tableau or you're seasoned and you're looking to maybe help someone, please visit this website, mentoringmeetup.com. We'll go ahead and we'll post these links in the chat. But if you just need a little bit of guidance, again, you're new to Tableau, maybe you're in the space of development, design, or in server, or you're doing stuff with APIs, sign up. There's a mentor out there for you. And like I said, again, if you've got some skills and you've got some free time and you want to give back, this is a great way for you to sign up and become a mentor to the mentees. All right. We've also got Tableau community driven Tableau Talent Finder. So if you've been impacted by COVID, you're out of work or you're seeking employment, or you're an employer that is looking to hire Tableau talent, please go out and visit the Tableau Talent Finder. Again, this has been sparked by members of the Tableau community trying to help one another. Got some really good momentum on this. Again, we'll post all the links in the chat for you to participate. If you are part of the Phoenix Tableau user group, or you want to become part of the Tableau Phoenix Tableau user group, we do have collaboration on Slack that is now open to the public. If you want to go ahead and join, the link is right there. It's a bit.ly link. It is case sensitive. Again, we'll post all this into the chat, but this is a great way for you to engage, have kind of one-on-one conversations. We still want you to participate in the Tableau community, and we'll kind of get to that now. Upcoming virtual meetings, The Phoenix Tableau user group, we do meet monthly. So our next date will be September 17th. We will have that posted up probably towards the end of the week, if not early next week. You can always go out to our website, usergroup.phoenixtug.com, and look and register and sign up for updates. All right, so we're going to dive into a little bit of Tableau trivia and see how well you know your Tableau. This is an opportunity for you to kind of engage at this time and be part of this presentation. So what I'd like you to do is, if you all have a smartphone or from your desktop computer, smartphone people, you can go ahead and scan the QR code or type in menti.com into a browser. And the code that you're going to want to use is 1281196. So when you go to the website, there'll be a place for you to enter that information in. If you are prompted to enter a name, just make sure it's PG rated. If you do go in through another way, it might give you one by default. So I'll leave this up for another 10 seconds or so. Again, menti.com, code is 1281196. All right. So let's go ahead and I'm going to switch over to Menti, and we'll see how many are in. So again, if you want to participate, and hopefully you do, from a desktop computer or a smartphone, the code is 1281196. All right, it looks like we got a lot of people in here. All over the place: Boston, Phoenix, Denver, Tucson, Tempe. Got some people in California. All right, we'll leave this up for another 10 seconds, and then we'll move on to the next question. So again, if you want to participate, menti.com, menti.com, please use the code 1281196. All right. Got a lot of people in Arizona. Got some people in India. Places all over Colorado. Good deal. All right. Next question. Is this your first time at a Tableau user group? So we're trying to get some information from you, engagement, see if you're see what kind of topics you're interested in, what you're looking for out of a user group. This helps us create better content, more engagement. Once we get through some of these polling questions, then we'll do some fun, exciting trivia. All right, well, welcome first timers. Got quite a few in there. And thank you to all the regular attendees and those that have attended some. Thank you for attending today. Hopefully keep attending. Again, Phoenix Tug is a monthly user group, so we'd love to see you back. All right, let's move on. Which Tableau products interest you? And you should be able to do a multi-select. So we've got some things in Tableau Public, Desktop, Prep, Server and Online, Tableau Mobile, APIs. We're getting a lot of APIs. We're going to do a huge development user group in October, so do not miss that. We've got some people that are interested in Salesforce and Tableau. Great. All right. Good deal. Desktop is by far most popular. Tableau Server Online, fantastic. I'm a certified server admin, so I love seeing all these server and online people interested in that. Good deal. Let's move on. Which version of Tableau are you currently using? Oh, we got a 10Xer out there. That's like 55 versions behind. Excited. Got a lot of 2020 adopters. Today we're going to see a lot of the new release 2020.3 and things around relationships. So hopefully that's what you came for, because you're going to get that. Good deal. All right. I want to talk to you, 10Xer. Chat me up later. All right. How long have you been using Tableau? Did you just start? Are you kind of a beginner, less than a year? Are you a seasoned pro? Where are you at? All right. Looks like we're somewhat balanced, scattered around. Good deal. So yeah, those of you that just started or have been using Tableau less than a year, there's a lot of opportunities to learn and network. That's part of the reason why we do the user group. A lot of free training, community activities, Makeover Monday, Workout Wednesdays. If you're in healthcare, Project Health Viz, Sports Viz Sunday. A lot of these things that are out there in the community to help you upskill and get engaged. All right, I love this. Good deal. Next question. What virtual meeting topics interest you? So are you more into demos, customer stories, hands-on activities? You want to do workshops, tips and tricks? You want to do a whole data dev session? Tips and tricks. I think we have some of those for you today. Demos, hands-on, good. Workshops. Great. All right. This looks good. Anyone have any Tableau certifications? Is that something that interests you? So if you don't have anything, apologize, I should have probably put a answer in here. None, not yet. Hopefully you do want to certify. The Tableau Desktop Specialist is your first entry into Tableau certification, really around foundational knowledge. So as long as you've got about 3 months of experience using the product and you feel comfortable with it, you should be able to knock out that first exam pretty good. So congratulations to those that have your Tableau Desktop and Tableau Desktop Associate. Congratulations. All right, what modeling camp do you identify with the most? So when you're doing data modeling, are you more of relationships now? You still like the joins, blends? Are you all about that custom SQL? And we are going to cover this quite a bit today. So if you have any confusion about relationships or joins or blends or custom SQL, Adriana's got a fantastic presentation that she's going to go through right after this. It's going to clear everything up. You're going to be a Tableau ninja in no time. All right, joins, highlight it. Custom SQL people, interesting, and relationships, love it. All right, what dashboarding layout tribe do you subscribe to? Are you Team Tile, Team Float? If you've got no idea what we're talking about, it's what? And those of you that do know, how do you lay out your dashboards? Do you tile them? Do you float them? And you can't pick a mix. You got to be on one team. So for those of you that are kind of what, in your Tableau dashboarding, you have the ability to design your layouts, and you drag and drop your worksheets over. However, it's recommended that you create some kind of a layout, and you could either tile these out by fixed kind of drag and drop and it snaps to that grid, or you can float them around wherever you really want. But it looks like Team Tile is the winner for today. So definitely a debate for another time. Love seeing this though.
We're getting some team it depends, and there has to be more options of all of them.
Oh, there is no depends. No, you have to be in one camp. You got to fight for that.
So Michael,
all right.
we also got one more question in the Q&A asking for you to share the Slack channel again for the Phoenix Tug.
We're going to do that. I'm going to, after I go through my presentation, I'm going to throw all of those links that I mentioned into the chat. And then again, you'll have the slide decks and everything with all the links embedded. Fantastic questions. So we're going to start the Tableau trivia. To make things a little interesting, this is the way it works. You're going to get a question, and the quicker that you can respond with the right answer, the more points you accumulate. To make it interesting, we'll throw in a prize. So as long as you're not a Tableau employee or part of this user group, and you're the winner at the end of this, we'll connect with you, or you connect with us, and we'll get you some nice Tableau swag. How's that?
And Michael, we have some great masks from Boulder Insight that I can include with that. I'll send you some to send out. So.
Love that. All right, is everybody ready? Let's do this. And again, if you want to participate and you haven't joined, menti.com, use the code 1281196. All right. There we go. Let's get started. Which version of Tableau is free for use? All right, congratulations. Tableau Public is free for download. Which is not a Tableau community-driven activity? If you were listening earlier, I mentioned the three that are. All right. Yeah, Tutorial Thursday is not a Tableau-driven activity. Which API allows you to embed Tableau visualizations? All right, congratulations to those of you who got the JavaScript API. Next question. In Tableau's order of operations, which filter type does Tableau apply first? If you're just getting started with Tableau, Google Tableau order of operations. Memorize these, very important.
According to Tableau, in the order of operations,
All right, nice. Next question. What is the maximum number of tables that can be joined in Tableau through the visual data interpreter? Little obscure question. Congratulations if you use that no 64. All right, and the next question is, how would you test workbook for performance in Tableau? What tool or feature is accessible in Tableau Desktop that allows you to test your workbook performance? All right. If you haven't used the performance recording feature, go ahead and look that up. Absolutely amazing, and it's a must. All right. Which Tableau file type contains both your workbook and data together? All right. Yes, the Twibix contains both the workbook and the data in one. Good job, everyone. Next question. Tableau workbooks can contain multiple data sources from different source systems. Is that true or false? Absolutely true. You can definitely connect to different source systems in a Tableau workbook. All right. What Tableau feature allows you to use natural language capabilities? Ask Data. Yes, if you haven't used Ask Data yet, or you're not on a version that does have Ask Data, you 10Xer, I'm talking to you, upgrade. Next question. Which of the following is not a Tableau field data type? Which one is not a Tableau field data type? Yeah, float is not one. There we go. All right. As of version 2019.4, how many columns can you have in a text table? What is that limit? Yes, 50. I don't know if you really want to do that, but you can. All right, we're winding down here. What is syntax is used to add a comment within a calculated field? So when you're typing out your calculated fields and you want to comment something, what syntax do you use to make sure that that's a comment? Yes, the 2 forward slashes. That will comment out and you can write things. All right, next question. Tableau Prep Builder can output data to external databases. Is this true or false? It's absolutely true. With this new release of 2020.3, you can definitely output data to a database. All right, and which of the following is not a valid value when using the date part? Do you know your calculations? Which is not a valid value? Definitely. Weekend, not a valid value. All right. Who is our winner? Congratulations, RG. You are a big winner. So please get in touch with myself or any one of our panelists. We'll get you get your information. We'll get you some nice Tableau swag. All right. Okay, so hopefully that was fun. Hope you enjoyed that. I am gonna go ahead and stop my share, and Heather, if you want to introduce Adriana, I would appreciate that.
That sounds great. And you can actually leave up the slide if you want with Adriana. I know she'll be sharing hers in just a second. But I am super honored to be introducing you to Adriana Williamson. Adriana and I met years ago. She was a student in one of my Tableau public classes, and I just loved her and her energy and her brilliance. And she is now a certified Tableau trainer with Boulder Insight at our company. But what I love about having Adriana present for you all today, when Michael reached out, Adriana is based in Arizona, even though we're based in Boulder. And so I thought it was a perfect time to do Arizona Adriana, but from Boulder Insight. She's lived in Phoenix for the last 13 years. She's born and raised in Mexico, so her first language is Spanish, and she's a bilingual trainer for us. And she's got a multitude of experience working in so many industries like technology, manufacturing, real estate, direct selling. And she was a BI manager in one of her last roles and does some great consulting work now as well in Arizona. So I am so excited to introduce you to Adriana. She's going to be talking about joins, blends, and relationships. Oh my, I know the relationships came out with the new 2020 version, so it's been out here for a bit, but the relationships have definitely caused some confusion, not only for our students that I'm teaching in classes, but even our own company and trying to figure out, you know, when do you use a relationship and not. So Adriana is going to talk about some relationships and when to use them, when to not. And I will hand this over to you, Adriana, and hopefully you'll appreciate her story about family relationships and fixing them with Tableau relationships. So should be fun. I'm handing it over to you, Adriana.
Hi, everyone. Just a quick introduction before I turn off my camera to show you what we had to present today, but I just want to welcome you. I hope you enjoy this next session. You get to learn a lot. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you, and I hope you get a lot of learning to what we're going to share with you. So let's start. So I'm just going to turn off my camera, and I'm just going to share my screen. So can you see my screen now?
Yep, we see it.
Okay, perfect. That's great. So as Heather said, and as Michael mentioned before, you know that as of 2020.2, Tableau introduced a new feature. It's called relationships. And since then, I have seen a few nice blogs out there about showing how relationships work, right? But what I have not seen, and what I see that is creating some of the confusion, is as to, okay, so when do I use joins? Where do I use blends? Our relationships are here to stay and solve 100% of my Tableau related issues. So my purpose for this presentation is to be like, show you a couple of examples where you may need to use blends, you may need to use joins, and of course introduce you to relationships, and like this puts it that way, is joins, blends, relationships. Oh my, why should I pick, right? And I found we're gonna be sharing this to all of you. With all of you, you're gonna be able to access this workbook as well. But I found a really, really good definition from Tableau, and you're gonna be able to see this once you get this workbook. But basically, the way Tableau defines relationships is just relationships are an easy, flexible way to combine data from multiple tables for analysis. I get that's pretty straightforward. However, one of the main things I find, and I'm going to refer to it a lot of times, is especially put attention to this line is something important right here. It says you define relationships based on matching fields. Just keep that in the back of your mind as I go through this demo, because this is one of the most important things when it comes to the definition of I just messed up the connection, but when it comes to the definition of when to use relationship, is the key thing is you have to have matching fields from your data source. So whatever key you are selecting, that means that the data underneath the data source, all the key has to have the exact matches in order to work. Another thing that relationships are good for, basically what Tableau says and what I have seen is that is less upfront data preparation, more use cases for data sources, and greater trust in results. And we're gonna go, I'm gonna show you what that means. But basically the greater trust in results is that when you join data and you just join, there are times where you may be duplicating your data or you only bring in either the data that exists in either two tables or maybe just in one table, but not in the other table. So you have to be very, very familiar with joins. So what relationships do is improve and preserve your measures. And now there is the hope is that relationships won't double your trouble by duplicating data store results. However, I always be, even if I know that relationships may not duplicate my data, I'm an accountant as I started my career, and I always double check my numbers. I don't just trust what joins and relationships are doing. But let's jump on this. I want to show you 3 different ways. You may be familiar or not. I'm not gonna show you step by step on everything we're gonna do, but this workbook has a lot of step-by-step instructions that you can try on your own on your own time. But I hope that the concepts will stay with you. So let's start on not necessarily when relationships won't work, but the one I want to show you is when let me just, for some reason I couldn't start on my demo. So I'm just gonna get out of this mode, and I'm just gonna show you when join may not work, right? A lot of you probably have had the situation where you may have, you're connecting to a file or a table or data source, whatever that is, and then you may have transactional data, and you also wanna be able to convert that into a file that has maybe budget data, right? How many of you, and I could imagine that many of you have run into the scenario where, like I said, you have your actual transactions, and in this case, I'm gonna use my personal banking, and what I want to do is I have my bank transactions by day and how much I spend, but I also want to compare this to the budget, right? I have a budget for the month, and I want to know if I'm under budget or over budget. I want to know how my family and I are doing compared to that. So before relationships, I could use a join, right? And in order to do a join, joins are not going away. So notice that what I did was to double click on the box where it say migrated data, and that brought this join, your first table. And in order to do a join, I'm just gonna drag budget next to actuals. Remember that when you do a join, you had to drag and drop it next to your first table, not underneath, because if you do it underneath, you're gonna create a union, but we wanna do a join, you have to drag it to the right, and you just drop it right there. When you do that, Tableau, in this case, knows there is a related field, and it's creating that we'll call it relationship, is finding a key that I have common for the two files. And I noticed that when you do a join, I just want to point it out, joins add columns to your data, right? So it will join actuals and budget, and basically takes all the columns that you have in your actual table and takes all the columns that you have in your budget table, and then creates one flattened table at the end, and it gives you more columns. But notice that on budgets, and that may be in your scenario, I'm only there one time. I only have one budget aggregated at the month level. But for my transactions, I am there multiple times, right? And that represents, each transaction represents each day. So what happens? I did my join, I'm ready to start doing my analysis. So I'm just gonna go and I wanna start seeing how am I doing compared to my actuals. So I'm just gonna go ahead and drag the name, and I'm gonna go and drag the my actual spend. I'm gonna do a put it on my axis, and notice that and it looks right. It looks like it's correct based on what I spent. So now I want to compare this to my budget, and I want to know where am I under or over? And this is with a join. Also notice, I just want to point out that with the release of the 2020.2, you'll notice that the way things look in Tableau and your data pane are different, right? Before, you clearly will know that the first part were dimensions and the second part were measures. But now the way that distinction is made by this line across right here under measure names. And then also notice that for the tables, I have joined the two tables, and you can see the dimensions are under the actuals for the actuals table, and you'll have your dimensions under your budget table. And the same thing repeats for the measures section, right? Is measures under actuals and the measures that relate to the budget. So this way it feels and looks different in terms of user experience. I just wanted to point it out that this has changed from the 2020.2 version. So let's move on. Let's continue. I'm gonna create a combined access, and for those of you who may not have used combined access in the past, I love combined access because they allow you to compare two measures side by side. So how do we do a combined access? I'm just gonna drag my budget. I'm gonna drag my budget towards the same axis where I drop my actuals. And notice that you're gonna have a double roller. You're gonna have a double roller, and that when you see that double roller, that's where you drop it, and that's where I'm gonna drop it. So look at this. Now I can see my actual spend with my budget comparison. And I also could even add one more step. I wanna distinguish between these two by changing the color. I want one color for my actual, and I want one color for my budget. So I'm just gonna make a copy of my measure names. The way you do a copy is you do Control, left click, drag and drop to your colors. Now notice, I still have measure names on top of my rows, but I created a copy by dragging it to my color, so now I can basically see clearly see what's going on here. If I didn't know, and if I really trust the join, and if I didn't know what was going on, and I wasn't familiar with my data, I would be like, oh wow, we're really under budget here. My mom is Emma, by the way, and Michael is my husband. So we're like, if I were to show this to my mom, she will be so happy, extremely happy, because she loves to spend money. Well, who doesn't, right? But she really does. And she was like thinking, oh, I have all this much money to spend. We're great, go spend it, and say that I'm still under budget, right? I have so much money to spend. But because I really know my data and I know something is not right here, what the joint has done, it has duplicated my budget records. And like if you remember what I explained before, is that what happens is that if I'm here on my transaction file, I'm here 10 times. I'm just saying, like, if you see that I am here 10 times, this budget line is going to be duplicated by 10 times. So the many times you appear on your transactional table, your record on the budget is going to be multiplied by those many records. So, oh my, so this could really affect our family relationships, right? And before Tableau brought in the relationship feature, the way we used to deal with this issue and fix it is a couple of ways. You could either create an LOD, level of detail calculation. I don't know, most of you are familiar with an LOD. So I had already created that budget fix LOD. I show it really quick. It's basically, the LOD is just basically you have to fix at the level of the key, which the key is the key related to the person, or the key related to the product, or the key related to your SKU, whatever that means. And then I will create a maximum budget, because in this case my budget is $600. Either I will pick my maximum, my minimum. It would just give me what it would be the same, $600, if I either did a max or a min. So now if I remove my budget and I bring that LOD, I'm gonna do it as a combined access, same way. And I'm just gonna drag this into colors. You notice that now when I do that with an LOD, things start looking more realistically, like I have a $600 budget, so I'm already over budget. So if I were to look at my mom, oh, she already is 10 times over budget, right? Like no, 5 times over budget. Like I had to have a conversation. Like in the previous scenario, she might start thinking that she had so much money to spend, but in the real scenario is not really, right? So LOD would have fixed this, or even a blend. I'm not gonna go over the details on how to do a blend, but you find instructions on this workbook on how to do a blend. Hopefully you have done blends in the past, but if not, there is I'll point you to the tab where you can find it step by step. But a blend would also solve this problem, right, of the duplication of records. But one thing about blends is that blends require multiple steps to get to the blend. And for LODs, you really need to understand LODs. And level of detail calculations can be not as straightforward, could be complicated. You really need to understand. So there's a few steps that you will have to understand. One thing that joins give you, as I mentioned before, joins will allow you to see the data underneath one full data table. You could get and see all when you do a join, you create one flattened table. You can have 3 tables, and that table will give you the result of one table. So now, how do I fix this now with relationships, right? How do I before my relationship with my mom is really affected because she is really spending a lot of money. Tableau relationships will help solve my family relationships in this case, right? Especially nowadays with the coronavirus, where we really had to be living in the same household, and we really have to have great relationships. So how does Tableau do that with relationships? So let's move on. So relationships are great. That really are a great way to solve issues like this, because one, you don't really have to worry about level detail calculations. You also don't really have to worry about doing all those extra steps to generate a blend. And also, relationships are much better in terms for performance. Joins and blends, they can really drive your performance for in Tableau. So let's see how relationships work, right? In this case, how am I going to solve that duplication, overstatement of my budget numbers? So I'm going to go back to my data source. I just want to point out and mention really quick that joins, relationships, and cross joins, they all happen at the data source level. Blends do not happen at the data source level. They happen at the worksheet level. And I'll point at that out when we go back to the worksheet. But in order to do a relationship, I need to come back to the data source. And again, in this case, I don't need to get to the join. Remember, to get to the join area, I just needed to double click here and that will give me the join. In this case, what I want is I just want to create a relationship. I'm just gonna close here. And in order to create a relationship, I'm just gonna do the same thing as we did with the join, but in this case, when I drag the budget, notice that something happened. And see what happens here. Just gonna, it's not taking it. Let's go back to, things happen in real life. So I'm just gonna come back here. I notice that this is already, the relationship is already established, but I'm gonna remove that. And what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna show you how you would do this relationship. I'm just gonna drag it, and notice this is what I was looking for in the previous view. You wanna look for that noodle, right? This noodle is showing you, it's just telling you a relationship is about to happen. So you just drop it. And what Tableau here is asking us, at what level do you wanna create this relationship, right? So I'm just gonna select key for this one and key for this one. And notice that in this case, it has already, the error has gone away, the relationship has established. But I just wanna point out that in this case, I have a one-to-one. I only need to join in one field, but there are times where you may wanna create a relationship with multiple fields. Maybe you have the scenario where you wanna create the relationship at the SKU level, also at the country level, and also at the date level, right? Because you may have the same SKU in multiple countries, but that SKU may mean different things in multiple countries. So you wanna make sure that your key is unique. So you may even continue adding things, the first level, second level, third level. So you can just continue adding that relationship as you place. In this case, I only need key to key. So now I have created the relationship, but something's different, and you probably already noticed it. You can, if I click on the budget table, you can only see the budget rows here. I only have 3. If I go back to actuals, you can see all the rows in my actuals. Notice that it's multiple times. The difference here is that you don't see that extension of columns like the join did, if you remember. The join increases your columns. And I just want to mention something that I recently learned, is that Tableau is a columnar tool, meaning the more columns you add, the more it's going to affect your performance. You can have millions of rows, that's not going to really affect your performance. What's going to really affect the performance in Tableau are the number of columns you add. So let's move on. So we have created a relationship, and now I'm just going to go back to my demo. And here what I did is just the same scenario. We have created, I have dragged the same fields that we have in our join. I've just dragged my span, and I dragged the data combined access. And notice that everything looks correct. This is what I would expect expect, right? If this is what I would expect, this is how I want it. I know that I can trust this because I already know that for my mom's budgets, she has 300, I have 600, my husband has 500. So this is perfect, it works fine. And the relationships in this case has solved the problem. But one important thing to point out, a couple of things to point out. With relationships, the way your interface is going to look is different than the way it looks with joins. So remember, if we go back to the joins, under your data pane, you have your actuals, a table mentioned 2 times, one for dimensions, one for your measures. It's the same thing for your budgets, the same thing. But if we go back to our relationships tab, notice it looks different, okay? Now you have all your dimensions and your measures under each table they belong. Notice that. So this line divides, so if I were to drag this field, try to drag it to the dimension area, that's where you see there where it says that I'm about to cross the line of the from measures to dimensions. That's how now you know that the line kind of divides your measures and the dimensions, but it looks different as if you're doing a join. I just want to point that out. Another thing I wanted to point out is that when you click on any of your markers and I want to go see view data, now you don't see a full table like with the join. Now you see each independent table is separate. Why? Because in relationships, each independent table is treated as its own separate entity. I just wanted to bring that up because for a lot of us, we love to have all the data in one place, and usually like in a join, I could just point people to the join and say, yeah, you can download your data, you can view your data, just go to full data, you can see everything related to that table, right? Well, with relationship, that has changed. So now I have quickly show you a way that when not to use a join and a relationship will work. But one of the things I find is that relationships now, I will say they're great for 90% of the time of the scenarios I have found, but there is still one scenario where a relationship is not helping me. A relationship is not working, and I just want to show you what that scenario really quick. So when you go back to the definition of how relationships work, right? It says that you can combine data from multiple tables for analysis. But the main thing, as I mentioned at the beginning, is the relationship is based on matching fields. If you don't have matching fields on that relationship, you're gonna run into issues. And let me show you what's the issue that I'm running into, and I'm just gonna explain that really quick. So in this case, if I go back to the data source, I show you, I have created a relationship. This is my master category table, which it has all the list of my products. And then I'm joining that to my orders table and my targets table. My orders table is gonna give me the actual sale for these products, and my targets table is gonna give me the goal of sales for my table, right? I have created this relationship. So now I start doing the analysis, and I'm bringing all my categories of my products into the view, and I'm bringing all my, in this case, I'm not gonna worry about my actuals, I'm just gonna worry about my sales targets. I wanna make sure that I have created budgets for all my products. But notice that by creating that relationship, one, I'm seeing some nulls, which I find is suspicious. And two, it's telling me that fasteners, labels, and storage are missing the target, right? I don't have target for those. I'm like, I'm even more suspicious. So I pull on another worksheet. Now, instead of pulling the categories from my master file, I pull them from my targets file. And I noticed that I actually do have a budget for label, and I do have a budget for storage. So what's happening? So I'm just gonna put it side by side to see if I could identify the issue. And when I started analyzing these two, I find that the problem is labels and label don't match. A storage and a storage organization don't match, right? So now that's why the relationship is like saying, I find match for all this, but as something is not matching, I'm just gonna put it as a null value. So if I were to use, how do I solve this issue? Because with a relationship, there is no way to solve it. So I have created, so I don't want to say there is no way to solve it. I just haven't found a way. Maybe some of you have, and I would love to hear from you if you have, but when the blend will work instead, in this case, and this is where I'm writing step-by-step instructions here for you to how to create the blend. Now I have the same scenario. I'm bringing the same products and the same members. I'm bringing them from the same way. I'm going to compare it in my dashboard. And I don't have nulls, but I still see that my fasteners don't have budget, my labels don't have budget, and my storage don't have budget. And again, I know that the problem is the naming, right? With the blending, what you can do is you can right-click on the alias, edit alias, and I'm just gonna make it this name match to my categories master. When I do that, look at what happens. My labels budget appears, and I'm just gonna do the same thing for the sales organization. I'm just gonna edit the alias, and I'm just gonna say okay, and look at what happens. Right now, storage is blank right here. I'm just gonna do it, and boom, there you go. Now we have fixed the issue, right? But this has been fixed with a blend. So at the end of the day, before we have relationships, we used to say, join where you can't, blend where you must, right? Now I want to leave you with use relationships when you can, and do blends and joins when you must. It's not a right or wrong. In this case, relationships are amazing. I'll use them 90% of the time. I just want to show you a couple of scenarios, and especially in this scenario where a relationship may not work because it's doing the relationship at the physical level from your data source. Your fields have to match, but still there is a way you can fix it with blends. So I hope that this demo can give you an idea of how relationships are so great in so many ways, but you're still going to have to use blends. It's important for you to use joins. Joins are going to be important, continue to be important, especially when you do row level security, because with row level security, you got to use an inner join. Whereas a relationship works as a left join, right join, inner join. It works the same. It gives you all the joins at the same time. It doesn't eliminate anything from your data. In row level security, you're gonna have to use joins. But I really hope that this demo has helped you clarifying when this works and can be so helpful for you. So thank you so much for your time, and we're open, I guess, for any questions. Thank you.
That was great, Adriana. Thank you. All right,
Thank you.
so we are going to take a quick 5-minute break. So depending on where you're at, where are we? 5 minutes. So please return at 11:05 if you're in Arizona, 12:05 if you're out in Colorado, anywhere else in the world. In about 5-6 minutes, please return, and then we'll get started with Kevin and Killer UI UX Design Tips and Tricks for Tableau.
we've got just another 30 seconds, I'd say, and then we'll get started. Oh, looks like it just changed. Okay. Hey, everybody, welcome back. I hope you had a great break. And I am Heather Datillo again, one of the co-facilitators for the Boulder Tableau user group. One of our colleagues is not here today, Jennifer Fujita. She works for one of the school districts here in the area, and this is one of their first weeks back. So she's got lots going on with that. But I'm super excited to be introducing you now to one of my dear friends and colleagues, and someone that stepped in when we were unable to get somebody from Tableau to come in and talk about some new features. We thought this would be a great time to showcase Kevin Swearigan. So Kevin is the director of UX at Boulder Insight, and he is a data visualization scientist, and he's really our creative visionary here at Boulder Insight. And he just brings this tremendous amount of UI UX experience and a real passion for building products that make sense to people regardless of their data literacy level. So he will talk to you about IDEO and human-centered design, but he has taken my dashboard skills to such a new level. I'm excited to get back to teaching again. I've been doing more consulting, and I myself have learned a ton from Kev over these last couple months. So I give to you, you'll understand why we say killer UX designs. Kev has had a little Miller moth situation he's been dealing with this summer, and we thought it would be fun to share some ways that he has been battling the Miller moth situation that he's had in Colorado. So I hand it over to you, Kev. Killer UX design tips and tricks for Tableau. So.
You got it. Thanks, Heather. It's a very friendly introduction there. Yeah, so a little bit about myself real quick. My background is actually, I'd say I was a UX designer, designing applications and being on Scrum teams and everything like that for, apps and websites and everything for the majority of my career. And about 10 years ago, I got introduced to Tableau. And so it was only a matter of time before these two worlds collided. So I'm going to show you some things I do, some tools I use, and also hopefully empower you to kind of follow along in the footsteps, if you like, where this goes, and do this on your own, or do it with minimal support. Like, you can always find somebody that can take everything over. Okay, right into it. Miller moths. If you live in Denver or Colorado, you understand this. Miller moths seem like a very harmless creature, unless you live in Colorado. This is more what happens with Miller moths. They get everywhere. Any crack in your house, anything, they come in. You wake up to about 20 of these in your house. Like, there's just no getting around it. So it's like clockwork. Every year, every spring, you're enjoying spring, and then here come the Miller moths. So being a data scientist and someone who just loves data and playing with it, I started recording killing the Miller moths. And I am not a catch and release guy. I'm just going to be clear. Maybe if I'm fishing rainbow trout, but when it comes to a Miller moth, the only good Miller moth is a dead Miller moth. So forgive me for that, but that's how I feel. So anyway, I started tracking the date, and then I started tracking the weapon that I actually used to take these things out. And then the effort level, the position, were they on the ground, the ceiling, and then the outcome. Did we kill them or did they escape? And then the disposal, right? Washed them down the sink, not available, trash. This one's really funny, fed to dog. So believe it or not, we have a corgi, and the damn thing loves to eat these moths. It's crazy. It's quite the little 1-2 combo there. And then the level of mess, right? Like, how messy were these? Because these are powdery creatures. So when you kill them, the powder kind of goes everywhere. So there's ways you do not want to, kill these things. So anyway, we tracked, killing them with different devices and level of effort and everything like that. So then we bring that into Tableau. Hopefully I don't pull up client data. So we bring this into Tableau, and this is just a basic, envisionment of kind of a straightforward dashboard, right? I've got all my KPIs here. And then one thing to point out right off the bat, when you use the approach that I'm going to show you, it's best not to work with filters. It's actually best to work with dashboard actions. They're super easy to build if your data source is simple. If you have tons of blends and connections going on and unions, they get a little crazier. But in this case, I just made an action that says, when I click on one of these, create a filter on these guys based on this value. Very straightforward. These can get really crazy. I won't go into actions because we'd be here for quite a while. So anyway, so because I have this on my dashboard, if I click escape, the data is now limited to what escaped was, right? So it's just a very interactive, easy way. I'm not jumping around and looking for a filter, and I don't lose relationships. So even when I click on escape, I can still see how many total dead there were. So I like that I don't lose my data relationship is another reason to use actions. So if you haven't explored them, I would highly recommend it. So here's a basic dashboard, but we can do better than this, right? I mean, we can format and color and everything like that, but I'm gonna just walk you through kind of my process, show you some tools, and kind of take this dashboard to the next level. So what I really need is an image for the Miller moth. And I've already pulled that image out, but I want to talk a little bit about images and data. And I'm going to introduce you to a website called Unsplash. So if you ever need a photograph or anything like that, this is an awesome library of royalty-free images that you can just download and use. But I want to teach you a little bit about what not to use too. So never forget that your data is the hero, not the image you put in, not your company's brand, not any of that, right? The data is the hero. So your data needs clarity. So there's some images that work better than other for layering data. So for example, this one is horrible. And the reason it's horrible is not because it's not a great image, it's just there's too much going on. So if I start layering a data story over this, you're not going to see the data story clearly, and you're not going to see the image clearly. They're going to fight each other, right? So if you're using images in a background, you want to select images like this. So I've got kind of a moth, but look over here. I've got a huge open area that I can place data, titles, everything like that. I've got tons of room for the data story. Not optimal because the image in the middle is going to make it weird, but it's actually a really good image to use for the data. So what I've done is I've selected an image and I edited it in Photoshop, and I'm just going to go ahead and start rebuilding a dashboard. There we go. So let's see here. So the first thing when using Tableau, when you drag on, it locks into place, right? So what you do when you want something to float so you can put something behind it, you actually hold down Shift and then drag on. So now this won't be locked into one place, and I can move it around wherever I want. So that's when you're building how I'm about to do it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hold down Shift and make all these guys float.
So this answers the Tableau trivia question. If you're team float or team tiled, Kev is definitely team float, just so you know.
Yeah.
So, and he has converted me. I have taught many classes saying I'm a tiled person, but team float is where I'm at now. So I know that was one of our questions today from Michael.
That's funny. Yeah, I'm definitely on that team. So I'm just same information. All I did was, take these off, and now all I got to do is hold down Shift. I'm going to bring an image in, choose my image. I have to go find it. Ugh. Very impatient too. I don't know. Heather said that part. So I'm going to find my image, and it's just a straightforward image that I built with some KPI pills up top so I can put things in there. But as you can tell, this image is everything I talked about. It's got graphics in it, but it's got a lot of place for my data to live and breathe where it doesn't interfere. So if the image doesn't help your data story, it hurts your data story. And that's really critical to keep in mind. And then the other thing I did while we're here, I found some colors that I like that I think will look good on this. And all you got to do is search like UX color palette on Google, and you will get tons of color stories. So if you're not sure like what colors complement what, and you didn't have color theory in school, like a lot of designers, you can just Google like, you know, UX dark color palette. It will give you like just gorgeous palettes like this. So I like this palette, so I'm going to be using that today. And I'm going to go ahead and open this image. So right off the bat, I am control clicking. I don't know what that is on Windows, so forgive me. I'm going to change the float order. I'm going to send that all the way to the back. Right, so now that is below everything here. It's just layering, right? So now I'm going to go to layout, and I'm going to zero out the XY. And what that'll do is drag it up into the upper left corner. Now my image, I know the size of it is, I'm going to plug that in. I think is it 900 or 800? I can't remember. So now I've got a full-sized image ready to go where I can layer my data story over the top of it. And I'm just going to hit present mode so you guys can see that. Right? So it takes up my whole thing. So now it's about really telling my data story. Well, what's the most interesting thing about the data story? And it's honestly, it's probably one that's not here that I need to drag on. So I'm going to click and drag weapon use. So what I think weapon use is really the core of my story, right? Like, is it hard to kill with it? Is it easy to kill them with it? That all like revolves around like the weapon I used, right? Was it effective? Weapon used, you know, where did I use it at? Well, different weapons would be used in different places, you know? So I think this is the core of my story. So I'm going to start here. So the next thing you want to know about or learn about UI UX is say it once, say it right. And if you say it twice, get rid of it. And I'll give you an example. We have 2, we have 48, we have 5, we have 12. Okay, we already know what the counts are. Does this help or hurt us, right? Number of records. Well, we already know the number, right? So I don't think this helps us. So I'm going to get rid of it because I don't think someone looks at that to get 48. I think they just read 48. So it's a distraction. So what we're going to do is get rid of all the things that we don't need. Weapon, that's in the title, weapon used, weapon. I don't need that either. And another thing I'm going to do, and this is more control, you don't have to do this. You can format and edit your title and change the color and everything. But what I like to do is actually drag on text. And the reason is it just gives me a little bit more control. And I'm a grumpy old artist, so I like things like that. So I'm just going to change this to light, white, and we'll 24 probably will do it. Okay. So now we've got that, and we're going to get rid of this. I'm going to hide the title. And that gave me a little bit more real estate as well. So the next thing is, are these lines really helping us or hurting us? Well, they're kind of hurting us, right? So I'm going to format this. And sometimes I look out and get it on the first time, and sometimes I just have to turn everything off. Nope, missed it. It's one of these guys. Somebody out there is yelling, click here, click here. So apologies to that individual. Miss one?
I think it's Rose.
So weird. Yeah, there it is. Always the last one. The next thing is I want the image to show through. And this one's easy. I'll find this quick for you. So this is actually your sheet, your paint can, and workbook. If you color it none, it's transparent, right? So now I've got a beautiful image. Everything's here, but I really can't read the text anymore because the black on there is an issue. So I'm going to change that to white. So now that's great, but I want to give it a color, and I'm going to go back to my UX color palette. That is not what I wanted. Forgive me. Heather's going to yell at me for not rehearsing.
I'm not yelling at you. It's perfect. It's always good to have teachable moments when we're demoing so people don't feel like it's going to be smooth the whole time. It's good to know we hit some speed bumps and how to get through them.
All I'm going to do is I'm going to type in the following color right there, my hexadecimal, right into my color. So I'm going to go into the sheet, double click color, click more colors, and I'm just going to type in F54B64. And voila, there's my color I wanted.
You could use the pick color too, right? For that.
Yep, could definitely do that. So now I've got my weapons and I want to start organizing the story. So I know real estate wise, I want to start moving things around so that everything is everything feels the same and is colored the same, right? So what I'm going to do next is actually just get everything out of the way of the moth so I can start understanding my real estate, right? So now what we're going to do is the same thing we did for our weapons. We're going to do the same thing for each one of these. But the good news is we don't have to start from scratch. So what I'm going to do is go into this sheet and I'm going to click copy formatting. And then I'm going to go back to my dashboard, go into this sheet and paste formatting. Now, the only thing that didn't format, just like the other one, are these lines here. The reason is the chart is different. So the chart is going horizontal instead of up and down, right? So because of that, I have the lines. So one more time, I have to take those out. There we go. And now what I can do, because this one I needed to do one more step on, I'm going to copy my formatting again, and I'm just going to go down the road and paste formatting, paste formatting, paste formatting, and that one's good. And these guys are going to have different formatting, so I'm not going to worry about that. Okay, so when I get back here, everything's done, right? So now I'm going to start hiding things again. So I'm going to hide my number of records. I'm going to hide my title. I can't remember, Heather, do all those things stay on formatting? Hide fields and rows.
They do, yep. Those
so
are
now,
manual.
so let's do that. Let's go into this sheet. I'm going to copy formatting and see if I can paste that and get rid of everything. Paste formatting, paste formatting.
Yeah, I think it is manual, Kev, but it's worth a try. Let's check it out.
On that one, that one. Cool. Let's see. No, it didn't.
Yeah,
Darn
I
it.
think it's all manual.
Okay, so basically I'm going to do the same thing. Why I'm doing what I'm doing is clarity. I don't need those to tell my story. I'm saying it twice, so I'm getting rid of it. Say it once, say it right. And then I'm going to go back in and do title, and I'll show you the reason why I do titles all at the same time. So disposal, well, maybe I'll leave that there so you can easily see. Hey, Chris.
Hello. I wouldn't do that.
Stop it. Speaking of you wouldn't do, I would invite Heather or Chris to a client meeting for the rest of the week. They've been very mean to me this week.
I have not. I have not.
You have.
So Chris has just joined. You'll meet him next. He is our resident chump. When we talk about Stump the Chump is going to be our next session. We now call it Tableau Live. But for those of you from the Boulder Insight user, Boulder Tableau user groups, you know that Chris is our always does these Tableau Live sessions at the end of our user group. So he will be coming up next here when Kev is done with his. And Kev, you're getting lots of great comments in the chat. And somebody even say, thanks for keeping the demo real, Kev, end quote. So they're appreciating it when you have some issues. It makes us all feel better. You're much faster at all this than the rest of us.
This is when everybody learns I'm dyslexic. Let me cancel that. Okay, let's start with disposal. So now what I'm going to do before I do titles, and am I good on time, Heather, or am I going too long?
No, you're great. You have 10 more minutes.
Okay, so now what I'm going to do, get that out of my way a little bit. I'm going to work on my color story. So when everything's the same, nothing is prioritized, right? So if you have the same, if these were all the same size, like these guys don't feel unique to each other, and your brain doesn't go anywhere new because they all look the same. The same thing here. If this was the same size as these charts, it's not the hero, right? So we always say if you look at a dashboard and you don't understand its purpose within 5 seconds, you failed, right? And same thing here. So this is our data hero. I don't know if that's an industry term or just one we use in our shop. But now what I want to do is I want to make sure these guys don't interfere with my hero. So once again, I'm going to go to this color palette I picked out, and I've got white or dark gray. I don't trust myself enough to just randomly pick colors that I think I like. This is actually from, you know, a professional on the website that found this color palette and got it to work. And I'll show you guys how to find those next. So now I'm going to go in and change the color of these guys. So more colors, and I'm going to change this to a dark gray. 4E, 5/8, 6E. So now that's in the data story, it's readable, it's within our palette, but now it's unique, right? So once everything's organized, it's not going to interfere with my data hero, and I've organized it for the viewer now. So I've got all this room over here. Sorry. So now what I have to do is drag on my title because I created trouble for myself by deleting the other one, but that's okay. And we're going to make this light, light and white. And the problem with Tableau, it's not a problem, but if you're white on a white background, you can't see it here. So I always have to go back and kind of highlight it so I can see what I've typed. So I've got disposal, probably needs to be a little bigger. I'm going to do 14. And what I'm looking for is a size that complements my hero. So this is going to be bigger. This is going to be smaller, right? So I've kind of got a secondary and a primary title, you know, look. So anyway, so what I'm going to do is move these guys over.
Okay,
And then we have same thing here.
tables.
I've got 2 of these, so I don't need one. I'm going to hide that. And that's the disposal method. But I also, position outcome and level of mess is different than disposal. So I'm going to give them another color. So I'm going to move disposal down over here. And I'm going to change this to a new color. And that color I'm going to pick is actually my white, right? I'm going to play with white. I think that one's going to be too dark. So I'm going to add my white to this. I can either click there or more colors. White is always FFF, 0 is always, or I'm sorry, black is always like straight up zeros. So anyway, that's colored now. So that's white. Cool. A little bit of a different look to pull these guys apart. So the trick here is kind of interesting. Like, you want to add enough difference to make these values meaningful in your data story without impacting your hero, right? So we've done that. These fall into the background more than the red, and the red really jumps out. So I like that. So now what we're going to do, I'm going to do all my titles again. You don't have to do this stuff, but I like it because I got more control. So there could be a design where I've got to put something over to the side, or maybe it's got to be right justified. Maybe I want to center it. The other thing is it's a space saver. So if you're using Tableau's default tile or titles, you usually have this kind of half-inch gap right here between the title and the data. When you're cramming data on the page, I mean, we always design these beautiful websites and then people just want more, more, more. You can actually squeak out a whole new viz by like a space-saving strategy of creating your own titles. Other than that, it's your choice. So do it, don't do it. It's really up to you. So what I'm going to do, I've already got the font, the size, and everything. So I'm just going to select all of it and copy it. And then I'm going to drag a new one on for outcome. And then just copy and over the top of it. That way I don't have to change the font size, change the color, or change the typeface. Like everything's right there for me. I'm going to hide that, move this over. And all of effort's going down there. Oh, sorry. Yep, that's right. Change color in that one to white. Change color in this one to white. And really the only reason is it's a layering of your data story, right? Like what I've done is I've created a uniqueness to disposal. So when everything's up here, you're going to be looking at these metrics, secondary metrics, but disposal is kind of going to jump out at you a little bit, right? Your brain's going to go, why is that a different color? Bam, I gotcha, right? So it's about guiding a user through the data story. So let me, I think I still have that. Oh. And we got one more, which is position. Ah, did it again. There we go. Chris has a really neat trick for lining up text. I will have to confess, I've been doing this so long, I can get pretty close to pixel perfect without any guides. But Chris actually has a good strategy for lining things up in Tableau. Chris, I forget what it is. You use containers, right?
Well, you can use several things. So you can use a container. You can use kind of a blank. You pull a blank on, and then maybe color it something and set it to like an opacity. Is a good way. Just give it a whatever color, doesn't matter.
Give it a blue, and then we're going to make it 35.
There you go.
And then you can use this and delete it later to line up your other vises, right?
That's it.
Okay. So I actually really like this trick. It was so simple. I was mad when Chris showed me because I was like, this is a really good, easy trick. You know what I mean? You can do it with positions, you know, in your XY, but this is a really down and dirty, quick cheat that I thought was great. And especially like here, I'm just going to line up the top of this data with that data and line that up there. And so, and then I'm going to delete it. I'm done. So now I'm going to look at the overall dashboard. I've still got my KPIs, but I've got plenty of room for use. I've got a lot of data up here, so I'm going to carry that. So what I'm going to do is just move this up and just take all this real estate. And I'm probably going to move these guys over just a bit so there's not a collision. Again, I'm just going to eyeball for the purposes of this demonstration. Alignment's key. Make sure your titles line up. You know what I mean? Like a title's over here and a title's over there, not going to do you a lot of good. It's confusing to the brain. So the last thing we've got to do is actually, we don't have a title and we've got to do our KPIs. Hopefully everybody here knows what a KPI is. It's a key performance indicator. So some people call them rocks, you know, some people confuse them with OKRs, but it's basically what are the key metrics we're interested in. And in this one, it's like, what's my kill ratio, my number of attempts, and my kills. So now what I'm going to do is format this as fast as I can so I don't bore anybody. So I'm going to do it to the whole sheet. I'm going to say Tableau that, and man, I don't know, maybe 28. Yeah, that'll probably work for all of them. I'm going to click off. Now I've got my worksheet, make it transparent. How am I doing? That looks good to go. So now do the old trick we learned. I'm going to copy formatting, and I named everything KPI. So all I got to do is click on the next KPI, paste formatting, KPI, paste formatting. Hopefully you guys can't hear the dog barking in the background. And now I'm going to move them into their new homes. So the way I do that is I'll move them out of the way first so everybody can see. Come on. Computer's acting a little nutty. Apologies. So I'm just going to move everything out of this area until I can use it. So now I'm going to do same thing I did here. I'm going to copy and paste this, but I'm going to make these KPIs smaller so that they don't interfere with the data story. They kind of support it. So now I'm going to go to dashboard. I'm going to drag a text, and I'm going to do kill ratio. And let's see, I'm going to make that 12, just a little smaller. I might go 11 even. So my kill ratio goes up there. Now, a little bit about this. I'm going to hide the title. And just so everybody knows that runs into it, it's perfectly lined up here because I have fit width. But if I had standard, it's going to be over here and on this side. So I don't want that. I want it aligned over there. Fit width does it every time. So it'll jog it over to the right for you if you ever get frustrated with that. So anyway, nice and organized in its spot, and everybody else is ready to go too.
And while Kev is finishing up these KPIs, remember, we do have our Tableau live session coming up next with Chris. So if you do have questions, you can put those in the Q&A. Any question will work. Chris will use usually Superstore sales data or something to try and solve it. But you have questions, Chris usually has answers for them. And if he can't answer them on the call, he will continue to try to work on that. He's like a pit bull when it comes to getting these answers corrected. So speaking of dogs in the background. So anyway,
you guys can hear
those
that.
questions covered. No, it's totally fine though. It's you've got to be protected, Kev.
Well, we have a corgi and it's very vocal.
Keeping you safe. From
Doesn't have any
in.
legs either. Let's see if I can get that. There we go.
It actually has legs, just little legs. So I want people to think
Okay.
about lost legs.
So what is that? That's my kills. So what I want to tell you guys is I know some of these things you feel requires an artist eye, but if you know what you need to do to kind of get here, which is, you know, what I showed you today, you can also say, you know, hey, I've got a friend Bob that can do a background for me. You know what I mean? You can leverage talent around you. You can also reach out to us and just say, hey, I just need a background built, you know, something like that. And we provide those services. So I'm showing you something that isn't just unique to Kevin Swearingen on planet Earth. I'm showing you something that anybody could do. So I don't have a title. Should probably do a title real quick, Heather, just to polish it all off. And there's some things a little out of line. We're just going to call this Kevin Hates Moths. And we want to kind of draw attention to it and make it regular, probably. Maybe even 46. And you'd add more detail and everything to a title, like, you know, Kevin Hates Moths, rolling 30 or a month over month average of Kevin's kill rates or something like that, you know. But anyway, so just in this time period, we took something that was a normal dashboard or a standard out of the box Tableau dashboard, added some UX to it, and really just brought it to a next level, right? We organized a data story. We've created it. So see how filters aren't everywhere? So if we want to know something, how did the handheld bug zapper do? And by the way, a huge fan of the handheld bug zapper. It's on Amazon, little tennis racket thing. But anyway, this guy, all of a sudden, I used it 5 times, or I used it 5 times, 3 times in the air, 1 on the ceiling and floor, low level of effort, and the outcome was dead every time. I mean, 100% kill rate, doesn't get any better than that. So the salt gun, not good. Believe it or not, these little guys are tougher than they look. And a lot of them escape. So my kill ratio is 8%. I don't want to use a salt gun anymore. Small lava lamp, funny as hell. My daughter came out into the hallway swinging with this little keychain looking lava lamp and actually killed, I believe, 1, and 1 escaped. So there's some funny things in here, I know, but the tennis racket I think was the most useless. 10 attempts, all of them escaped. So if you're trying to kill a millimoth out there, do not use a tennis racket. That would be a mistake. Soap in the bowl, very fun, very easy. It's on the ground. You just put it under a lamp, low level of effort, disposed of it by dumping it down the sink. And, out of everyone died. So that's it. That's kind of my Miller Moth demo. One last thing I wanted to show you guys is if you feel lost or you don't know where to go when exploring adding more UX, there are websites out there. And this one's called Dribble with 3 Bs. And look at it as kind of the Pinterest of UX designers, right? So you can easily come in here and find a look you like to start with, right? It's called inspiring. It's not called stealing. So I like the black. I like a gradient in the background. If I employ this into my design, I'm not stealing from this artist. I'm kind of inspiring from it. If I took all the fonts, took all the buttons, did everything exact, you're stealing, right? But when you're inspiring, you're just basically, I like this look. I like this very basic black and white look. I like the little icon in here. So you can come here to find layouts and data treatments. A lot of it is going to be more advertising than you probably want, but there are people that have data treatments in here. And one more resource I want to show you. These little icons here, you don't have to draw those either. There is a service out there for those of you that use icons all the time called the Noun Project. And just like the website I showed you that has all the stock photography, it's a search engine for all things icons. Some are pay, some are not, but the price is just, the price is really affordable even when it's a pay. But I think they have services. That's Common Creative, so it's probably free anyway. But some are pay, some are free. But right there, you've got more styles and you know what to do with. The only thing I would tell you is don't mix styles. If you go with an outline icon, don't make your next one a fill icon, right? Stick with outline for the whole project. So if you have an outline for a nurse, you want to have an outline for a bed, not a filled bed, right? So just pick your lane and stay in it, is the only other advice I could really offer. That's it. That's all I got. Thank you for your time. I hope this was helpful. That's it.
Yeah, lots of great comments from the group. We do have a question for you. Michael did a great job of answering it, but it might be a good one for you to answer. So when floating all the vises on the dashboard, does it ever cause issues for users viewing the dash on different size screens? The issue mainly being the dash elements rearranging in the dashboard, making them overlap or not visible. This is from Steve Torres.
You have to lock down the size of your Tableau document. So once you go to floating, you don't want to make it so that it fits all screens anymore. So what we do is actually, there are a bunch of presets. I guess I should go ahead and go in here. There are a bunch of preset size, and then Chris might have a different answer than I do. But under size, we have PowerPoint locked in. So Tableau has all these out-of-the-box sizes. We actually, if you're going to tell the data story and take the time to move everything to do a data story, you want to lock that down. Because if you scale it, it's kind of like a website, right? Like websites don't look great scaled to any size. Like the concept breaks down, be it mobile, be it like, PowerPoint size. We use this size because honestly, everybody uses PowerPoint. We have clients that actually generate reports out of Tableau and import them as slides and do PowerPoint, crazy as it sounds. So this we found to be the most universal. It sounds great to scale and everything, but this size works great when it's done. And as you can see, I'm on a 15-inch MacBook Pro, and it fits brilliantly. So, you know, that's how we resolve everything. We design to an exact real estate.
Great question and great answer. So Kev, one more for you. And Chris, you can turn on your video if you want, and we'll see if we have any live questions. We haven't got any in the chat. What did Kevin use to select a color palette? I believe you talked about just Googling it, but if you want to answer that a little bit more.
So I can show you.
Grazina. Hi, Grazina. We're so glad you're joining.
So basically, once you type in UX stands for user experience, right? UX people design all the products you guys use every day, like your app, everything like that, right? So just like you search for questions on Tableau, you can go online and just do a UX dark color, and palette's probably the best. UX dark color palette. So if I here on images on Google, you are going to get an insane amount of colors. And all you got to do is pick your poison and try it, right? Like, it doesn't take long to swap out colors. So, you know, these are called hex dexes. I don't know if you guys have used them before, but they're available under the color setting, like I showed you guys. And you just type in this number and then you get that gray, and you type in that number, you get that blue. Experiment. You know, this is designed to go on a dark background, and these are all the colors on top of it. You could do that, and if you don't like it, you just find the next one.
Can you share?
So now
your
I got
screen,
these
Kev?
guys.
We're not
and
seeing
change that out. What's that?
We're not seeing your screen for that.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Ah, wrong one.
And while Kev's doing that,
There we go. So this is, all I did was UX dark color palette. I have all these options, right? So I could choose any one of these color palettes and start leveraging it today, right? So if I know I'm going on blue, I'd pick this, and I've got a darker blue, I've got that. Whole palettes are available, like this one offers like a primary, secondary, and everything with all the colors on it. I don't know if that'll go through to the right. That's kind of a jump. But anyway, you get the concept. You can search online. There are tons of these palettes out here. It's what UX designers, we use these every day, right? And you can experiment with color palettes, but pick ones that are designed to go on dark, or pick ones that are designed to go on light. Like, something designed for white may not work on black, you know? The other benefit you get from here is colors change, just like your dishwasher or appliances in your kitchen. You know, red may be hot one year and then blue's hot the next year, different shades, right? Different hues. So searching for, you know, different color palettes actually helps to keep you current, right? There was a move from shiny and glossy to flat color palettes about 3 years ago. So just keeping up with latest trends will keep your dashboards feeling more like an app and newer.
Great. And at Bruce Dotterer mentioned Learn UI .design tools data color picker, and it's in the chat for anybody else that's looking for another tool. So do we have any questions for Chris? I know we've had lots of great UI UX questions and things, so we're really open. If you all have a Tableau question for Chris, you can do that now. The good news is if you don't have questions and they come up later, this happens when you can't think of them live in the moment. I'm also putting in a link for questions that you might come up to you. One thing that we started during COVID is the first Friday of every month, our company does a free Tableau live session for anybody that wants to join us. So you can put your questions in. I just put in the boulderinsight.com questions. You can put questions in there and we'll answer those during the Tableau live session. And I will pull up here and make sure to put in the invite to it. It's the same Zoom meeting every month that we use for that. So I'll be sure to put that in the chat as well. But in the meantime, we're still looking for any questions anyone might have. If not, I don't know, we have just 5 minutes left, Chris, if there's any cool trick that you've been using lately that you might want to show.
Yeah, I can show one thing that I think is pretty neat. I think we did this at one of the Tableau live sessions. Let me share my screen here for two seconds. So, and then you can probably kind of set this up. I'm gonna show the whole like a color swap out piece.
So here's a great story. So Kevin and Chris, oftentimes when we're working with clients, the color palette that is the red, yellow, green stoplight, a lot of people that makes sense to, unless you have a visual deficiency, a vision deficiency, and you can't see if you're colorblind or have some other issues going on with that. And Tableau, in order to get around that, uses this orange and blue color palette, but that doesn't always have meaning to everyone. And so one of the things that we use is a website called Tableau.com that allows us to see what it would look like if you do have a different visual deficiency. They'll show each of those. But the way we've gotten around this is creating a parameter action that changes it to a colorblind palette and then to a standard, the standard palette that we were using with red, yellow, green for the rest of the world that can see that. So it's a pretty cool way that we design a lot of our dashboards to make sure that color swap is an option. So Chris, do you want to show how you did that?
No, I just wanted to show you as possible.
I like it.
So no, how we did it is just like she said with this whole up parameter. So it does take some time to kind of do this. So we've got a like a show hide. So I'll just kind of jump in here. So whoops, I'm gonna duplicate and edit. So so what basically we're doing. So this is for the whole background. So we're going to pick the color style out of that parameter. We have different backgrounds set. So if we go to this URL, that'll be a black background for colorblind. This will be one for the whole standard, right? And so the thought is that instead of having your image be part of the background, that will start with that one. I mean, obviously the colors work the same way, but really the big one is the background color. So because typically, like Kevin showed you, we would have this be some image. So if I take that out, that's really all that's in actually to Tableau. Then we have some image behind. Except in this situation, instead of an image, we have this web page object, and so then this parameter will then actually control that object to either say show this URL or this URL. So that makes it so you can switch those things out, and then we use that same actually logic on the whole colors as well. So the anomaly score color. Let's make sure I got the right one. Buckets color brand.
All right, Chris, we are getting a couple questions in here, and I know we're close to the end of the meeting. So one of them is a question for Chris. What would you do to calculate 5% trimmed mean? Can you use sales data for the example? So what would you do to calculate 5% trimmed mean? And Aaron asked a question around what colorblind website that we use. I just put that in the chat as well. It's Tableau.com/designers/color filter. And that one's really great for being able to see the different types of color blindness and how that appears. You need to put in a URL address. So you'd have to publish your dashboard to Tableau server or Tableau public in order to get that URL address to put in, but it's super powerful to use that.
So you want sales over time, so sales by order date, and you want to know, tell me again, 5% trend?
5% trimmed, it's from Grazina.
Can you take her off mute and let her ask? I don't fully get what she's looking for. Just a 5% increase?
Michael, are you able to do that?
I will check. I don't know that we can.
I don't have that power.
Yeah. Well, if we could, so I'm assuming you're wanting like if it's a 5% increase.
Yes. So Grazina, you can talk. You can unmute yourself.
Thank you, Michael.
Hello.
Hey there.
Hi, Chris. Hello, the whole team, Heather, Kevin. So my question is, I would like to basically take out outliers from monthly data, right? So here you have May, November. So the top 5% and the bottom, basically 5%, to calculate a mean, I would like to exclude the outliers.
Okay. So, but you mean so you want to look at 5% of what? So is that by record or is that by the month? I'm not understanding.
Records within a month, right? So if we had so many sales and maybe we had one very high sale and, you know, one or so very low, I want to exclude those.
Right. So if we have if we have let's just take 1 month here. Let's just look at order date let's do month and year, and let's make this kind of, let's just take a few here. Cancel discrete. So let's just say, trying to find, oops, let's do it this. There we go. Okay, so here's 1 month. All right. So these are all of your orders inside this month. And then so what do you, so you're saying, so I guess I'm confused on the whole 5%. So is it 5% of what? I mean, they may have bought different products, or I'm not sure what the 5% is.
So the whole order. So here you have order ID. I would exclude order IDs that fall outside of that 5%, like the top 5% and the bottom of the whole order, I would exclude, calculating the mean.
Okay, so of all the transactions happen in the month, what's the top 5% and what's the bottom 5%? And then you want to look at the
exclude those.
Yeah.
And then I would calculate the mean. So I don't know which 5% is in this case, but let's say we would exclude 93 orders that end in 93 and order that ends in 19, and probably 2 from the bottom, order that ends in 39 and 36. And then you would tell me that monthly mean that excludes these top and bottom.
Yeah. I mean, I think what I would do is I would do something like, I mean, I'm gonna do it really fast. So I would say, you know, if I was just to rank these, I'm gonna do it really quickly here. We can do it on the means, right? So this gives us our actually numbers, right? So this tells us, what I put that, should go here. Alrighty, okay. So this gives us our actually rank of these things. So I would write some calc on this. Let me drag it over here actually. Okay. So if I say, I want to say edit, and I'm just gonna, for a goof, I'm gonna say if rank is, now I know you would, I'm confused about the 5%, so I'll do it this way to show you how I would do it. But then you can get there. So you can calculate whatever number it is that kind of gets you the number you want, right? But if I say if your rank is less than, let's just say 10, then top, else if rank is greater than, we'll call it 30, we'll call it bottom, and then else exclude, right? So you're gonna have to have all of these there, like that. Oh, that should be fine. Oh, put a then in there. Okay. What's wrong with that? And oh, see, put a space here. All right, that should work. Okay, so we'll call this, we'll name this formula. So then, because what you're going to have to be able to calculate your thing, you're going to have these pieces in there, right? So now we're going to have 3 different groups, and so to be able to calculate it, I would just take this and like you hide it. So now I have my tops and my bottoms, but I have that middle excluded, right? Because you're going to have them in the view to be able to calc if they are top or bottom, but you just want to hide them, and then you would just hide this column later.
Perfect. Yes, that gets me to the beginning. Could you please just share the formula you did include exclude?
Sure.
Please.
All right, I'll put this
Thank
in.
you, Chris. Appreciate it.
And if you would have put it in the chat, that'd be great, Chris.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Michael, I'm going to hand this over to you to close out the meeting. It has been so much fun being able to do a joint Tableau user group together. We've loved that. And we know the best part of these virtual groups is we get people from all around the world joining us. So it's been super fun. So I'll hand it over to you now.
All right. Let me share my screen. Okay, so thank you to Adriana, Kev, Chris, Heather. We appreciate this. Thank you to everyone that participated, stuck around, engaged. Hope you had a lot of fun, learned some things. We've got Tableau resources that are included in the deck. Got a lot of Tableau community activities that we talked about. Makeover Monday, Workout Wednesday. If you're into prepping data, there's stuff out there for that. So you're going to get all these links, and we hope that you engage with the Tableau community, and we see you again at a future user group. Again, if you need to contact us, connect with us whatever way, links are right there. You will get all these slide decks and much more coming soon. So with that, thank you all for attending. Please subscribe, stay current on all these releases. Go to usergroups.tableau.com, and we will see you next month. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.